Take a look. Let's go back to training camp and take us right up to now. What is the progress that you've seen with you and your teammates this year?
From training camp, I think we've come a long way. I know that it's people's job to make predictions on how the season is going to go, and I think we probably exceeded all the external predictions of where we would end up. But internally we fell a little bit short. But I think that we, like I said the other day, like we became a team this year, and we believed in each other. We had a lot of different ways that we could play. Down the stretch, we were really exciting to see us lock it down and be able to play that defensive game. Because early in the year we relied a lot on our scoring and our offense, and to be able to transition into playing a more mature game towards the end of the year was really something, I thought.
What did it take to become a team?
It's just these young guys. They wanna learn. They wanna come to the rink, and they care about each other. And in the NHL, you have a lot of different egos. You have a lot of guys that want things for themselves, and we're very fortunate on this team where if you were to pan to the bench when there's a goal scored, like everybody's so genuinely happy for that person, and that's not always the case, and it's extremely special and something that I'm very proud of.
There's a lot of games here that, especially on the road, that maybe people thought you weren't going to win, that you guys pulled out. Some troubles at home. I mean, how do you balance the season missing by 2 points with so many games that you won and so many games you probably think you should have, and it's 2 points away?
I don't think you can go back in the year and say, it's only 2 points. Like, man, if we would have won that game against Columbus, or if we would have won that game against Montreal, like, there's games where you won that you shouldn't have. So it's like, it is what it is. We finished 2 points out and we missed. Like, that's bottom line. Like, you can't go back into individual games and nitpick everything, because it's 82 games. It's a marathon, and there's going to be ups and downs, and you just try to not ride the roller coaster. And you have to. Now we know how hard it is. Like, we came up just shy. We know how hard it was to get to the point that we're at, and so now we're going to be better prepared to take the next step.
What's the feeling about where you're at in your career? You're finishing a 7-year contract as an asset, and that doesn't happen, for 34-year-olds a lot of times. Just what's the feeling about this stage of your career and so forth?
I after my first year, the way that it ended with the concussion, and if you were to tell me that I was going to play out the remainder of my deal and be where I am today, I probably would have said you're lying. So grateful, happy. I've tried to grind. I've tried to do what I can to help the team and to help this organization, help this franchise, help the city, and just be myself. And it's led to where we're at now. And yeah, my deal is done, and it'll take some time and think about the future here. But it's been, I stood in front of the podium 7 years ago when they signed me, and I said, I think we have all the ingredients to win a Stanley Cup, and obviously didn't do that. But I think that, like, if I were to walk away and be done, I think that I left here better than I found it. And
is that an option for you, Kyle?
We'll see. No, we'll see. I haven't thought about it. It's like, we'll see what the future holds, and like my body feels pretty good, but it was an emotional year, and just going to take a little bit of time.
For a young team,
to a person like yourself, how important is it for you to be back in this room next year and continue what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of young players, a lot of budding personalities, and I think it's important to have some veteran leadership around these guys. And but it's their team. It's all these guys that took so many steps this year. They're the future, and they're good.
More directly, do you want to be here?
Yeah, there's nowhere else that I would want to be. Like, this is, I put a lot of energy and effort in here, and this is where I would want to be.
So it's retirement here. That's it, right?
Jeez, you guys are really pushing this narrative. Jeez. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'd love to be here, and yeah, we'll see. I'm just gonna, like I said, I'm gonna take some time and talk to my family and make a decision.
When you looked around this room and you're looking at Rasmus Dahlin and Cousins, do you see young leaders in this room that can, when you and Zemgus aren't here anymore, can take over that?
For sure. I mean, they're already leaders. They don't quite understand the impact that they have yet on each other, but they do every day in the decisions that they make and how they play. All the little things that they do and how good that they are. When you're that talented and you're doing the things that these young guys can do on the ice, you're automatically a leader, and your decisions and your actions carry more weight, whether you wanted them to or not. And they're going to continue to take steps and understand that as they go along, and it's going to be really exciting to watch.
What did it mean to you to wear the C this season in such an emotionally charged time that brought the franchise so far forward?
I haven't quite thought about that, but it's been fun. It's been an honor. Would be a better word to describe it. I've been in, it's my 16th year, been parts of 16 seasons, and first time wearing that letter. And you take a lot on. I've tried to help my 7 years here continue to move this franchise forward. And when you have that letter, I think that's part of your duty, and I've tried to do that in the best way that I can, and I hope that I hope the guys look at it and say that I'm somebody that they can look up to.
It's been pretty dire here at times the last 3 years. It's been a lot of empty seats. You guys, the second half of the season especially, the support seemed to come back. The numbers up 6,000 a night. What did that do for you guys, playing in front of a full house a lot of the time like you do all the time on the road?
Yeah, I mean, it helps. It's so much fun to play in front of a full building, and we have great fans, obviously, and they're. I think I said after the game the other day, they're very knowledgeable, and somebody was asking me about them stopping or staying and cheering for Andy and chanting his name, and it just shows that they're dialed in. Like I have no animosity or ill will towards the fans that left over the last couple of years. Like, it's been a long time. It's been hard here. Like, it has not been easy to be a fan of the Buffalo Sabres for the last 12 years or whatever it's been. And it was our job to earn their trust. And I think that we did it. This year was a really big step into winning them back, and we're going to continue to do that. As long as I'm here, as long as I can have an influence in this room, like, that's something that's going to be paramount for us.
Kyle, what do you see in the near future for this organization?
Continued success. Success is measured in many terms, but I think that if you look at, if you just take on ice and look at some of the big moments that we've had over the last couple years, the way that the team has risen to the occasion on those, I think it's been phenomenal. And I think if you look at the, off the ice, how the organization has handled some really tough moments, thinking of, the shooting last year at Tops in May, and the response from the organization and just the engagement in the community, like it's been successful, and it's been something that we've really worked hard for. So I will just say continued success on that front.
Is there anything you could, especially the way that Casey finished the season, you know how hard he was working toward this, and to finish that way for him?
I extremely happy for Mitzi. He's a phenomenal guy. He cares a lot. He's come a long way in being a pro, and he works extremely hard. And it was just awesome to see him, put up the numbers that he did, and just really find himself and find his game. It's last season coming out of training camp, he was the number one center, and then he got hurt, and he's been fighting his way back ever since. And it seemed like in the last few weeks he kind of announced to everybody that he's back.
You mentioned
For you, the last 7 years, what's been your proudest moment during that time?
Oof, that's a good question. Proudest moment. I don't know. I don't know what the proudest moment's been, but it would probably have to do with moments that happen right where we're standing right now, and after games or closed door meetings. Just where, not closed door meetings like players only meetings, like in the classic sense. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the conversations that we have in this circle, and how much they have changed, and how that everybody is able to walk in here and say whatever they think, and they're not going to be judged, or they're not going to be vilified for it, and people feel like they're valued. And every time that we have one of those moments, I kind of take a step back, and it makes me happy to realize how far we've come.
You mentioned those 7 years, you've seen a lot of different coaches, players come through. It seems like this locker room, the culture on the road, traveling together in this room, is way different with the coach and GM now, to a positive, that you guys are tight. And what did it take to get there? Do you see that, and how special is that, as far as if you want to win games, you need that?
Well, it's a funny balance, I think, in the NHL between good culture and good on-ice product. Like, you can have really good players that mesh really well together and have good chemistry, and off the ice, you might not have the best relationship. But I personally believe that if you have a really good dynamic, and you have a culture that is accepting, is cohesive, is open, then it's going to only make that bond on the ice stronger. And I believe that firmly. So I think that you don't win because of it, but it can accelerate the timeline into which you can be successful on the ice.
You mentioned the response, and you think back to the game after the blizzard and the Ryan Miller night, all these games that mattered. Is there anything you could put your finger on that is the reason that the team won? It seemed like in that situation more often than not.
I think it's just understanding the moment, and a little bit of luck too. Like, you kind of have to be lucky to win those games. I think we've won pretty much every one, like every big game that's kind of happened in the last couple of years. So you got to have a little bit of luck too. But the guys, it just matters more to us. It seemed to matter more to us on those nights than maybe it did to the other team. And I think that's something, when you have that culture, when you have that bond, then you're able to elevate in those moments.
What does it mean to you to have a GM who has an open line of communication, involves you in conversations, and has obviously approached this in maybe a little bit of a different way the last couple of years?
It's great. You know, Kevin and I have a good relationship. He's a former player, so he gets it. He gets the the grind, and he understands the dynamic of being a player. But he listens. He's willing to learn, and he's open. And I think that's how I think all organizations need to be if you're going to be successful. Like if you're trying to hide things and have secrets and we can only talk to this guy, like that doesn't work. Like I don't really understand that. And Kevin does a great job of not allowing any of that to happen here.
What do you think about the player and leader Rasmus Dahlin has become over the last couple of years?
Well, Ras, I think he turned 23 a couple days ago, and I look at his rookie year versus where he is now, and it's incredible. Like, I mean, he does things on the ice where we're all looking at the bench and we just look at each other and that's not supposed to happen. But it's special. He's a special player, special talent, and he's grown into his skin a little bit, and he's so competitive. I think that's probably his best leadership quality, is how competitive he is, and he just wants to win all the time, and he wants to be the best. He wants to be on the ice in every situation, and he's been incredible.